All right, welcome back, folks. 皆さん、お帰りなさい。今日は290、90日目です。Today is day 290. We're kind of getting close to that 100-day review. I am kind of thinking about maybe taking a day or two away to prepare for the 100 review. We'll see. The 100-day review, because it's been 100 days since the last one. We'll think about it. For now, today is a very exciting day. We get to see what the story thing is going to be after our recall today. And depending on the length, we'll either cover, like consolidate these two together, or do the story, maybe write or talk about the story, summarize how the story works and how that will fit into the next 10 units, because there are 10 stories before the last 3, which don't have any stories right now. So I don't know if that's a section 4 thing, so we'll see. Yeah, it'll be exciting. This is a quote-unquote a new feature. Also, there's this thing about the classroom thing that doesn't work anymore. So be prepared for my occasional hydration break during the ads, right? There's gonna be an occasional Duolingo ad everywhere. That's perfectly fine. We used to do this. It used to be kind of fun. Anyways, let's get into our recall today. So unit 76 was pretty straightforward. Early shakes. Okay, so let's start with Enshu. Senchu. Ugh. Senchu. Senchu. I saw. I. Saw. 리쿠저. 리쿠저. 유저. MAKU. MAKU. Ugh. So tiny. TAKU.水泳. Karate. Okay. Shumoku. 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 No. Dang you. Tanoshimi. Tanoshimi. Desu. Kaijo. Kaijo. Okay. Kaijo. Kaijo. Oh, I wrote this incorrectly yesterday. Let me just correct it here. It's Orin. Orin. As opposed to Ori. Orin. Ku. Okay. Medoru. Medoru. Umai. Umai. Gozu. These two are related. Oh, their turn. Ohio. Dekiru. 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 Kinjo. Kinjo. In. 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 And do. I think that's it. For the vocabulary, oh, we can throw in gorufu. I think that's it for 76. 75. 75 is bigger, actually. Start with the different city names, right? Location names. Shibuya. Harajuku. Akihabara. Shinjuku. Shinjuku. Ikebukuro. Ikebukuro. Stop squirming. Do well. Dang you. It's actually kind of hard. Yamanote. Yamanote. Holy, this is a lot harder than it looks. Ginza. Ginza. Hiroshima. 8? That's 8. Okay. Osaten. 大都市。首都。メイド。メイド。コスプレ。サラリーマン。働く。No. Yes. 働く。Wait. Yeah. No, that's right. 働く. You skipped to section 3, unit 74? Oh, way to join me. Yeah, I would, yeah, that's a good place. Yeah. Then you can like do this, and then you can do the stories for fun. I think the stories are like the end game, so, or what I mean is it's pretty much the last feature. Honestly, if you're already like into N3, right? If you're already into N3, I probably just skip all the way to the end and then go through the kanji section if you like to do vocab, and then do the daily refreshes if you like completed all of N4. Probably. I think that's kind of where they are. But there's occasional like N3, and there's a few like N2 and N1 vocabulary thrown in somewhere. I think mensuru is N1. So if you're ever curious, that shows up. Yeah, you just look at the kanji section for your vocab. Yeah, that's what I would highly recommend. If like say you started with everything else, you just don't like the way Duolingo does it, right? Like it takes too long, everything's really boring. But I think their kanji section is a very useful way to look at it in a different way, like in a different organized way. As in, you look at the stuff and you're like, how are these characters related to each other? And I think that's a lot of fun. Like even without like clicking on it, and you can always click on it and they have it all listed, so then you can create your own construct on your own because they list everything that's in each unit. So I think their kanji section, it's not like, I don't want to say it's built, it's not a competition. It's more like it's a different way to organize the thoughts that are dealing with kanji. So if you organize it differently and then you're looking at a different form of organization, it might inspire you to think about it in a different way, and that only adds to your memory. So I think their kanji section is very, very nice, and you can just skip all the way to the end, because if you're already competent in Japanese, and you just look at their kanji section for fun, for the heck of it. Right. Hello there, Hans. What you call it? One thing, there is a bug on the desktop version, and I'll show you in a sec once I finish this recall. There is a bug though. There's definitely, there are some vocabs you don't know in Duolingo. I see. I hope you discover them, little bits of treasure here and there. There is a bug though with the stroke order depiction. I don't know if they fixed it actually. Now I gotta Go check. I'll show you what I mean. On the desktop version. Oh, and the mobile, actually, and the mobile, because I checked the mobile app too. It's a current bug. I'm not sure if it's a already existing bug because I only got to this section. I'll show you in a sec. Let's see. It's a big doozy churn. It's a big doozy bug. Like, it's a big deal. At least to me, it's a big deal because since I write characters. That's a lot of emote spamming. Let's see. All right. May I ask you not to do that too often? Thanks. Is there cute on my stream? No worries. No worries. Resist. Moderation. Where were we? Let's see. We were in... Thanks. So what vocabulary word did you encounter so far, Jern? Can you give me an example? Let's see, where are we? Hiroba. Hiroba. Basho. Basho. Injo. You mean take care. Good luck with your day. Thanks for stopping by. You mean Atsumari. Atsumari. Maru. Oof. Alright. Oh my gosh. My hand is so unsteady. Okay. Como. Kazu. Fueru. Hello there, Tio. How are you? It's been a couple days. Oh, wait. Inko fueru. Vedu. Whoops. Glad I'm here. How's my study? My study's going pretty well. Did you take your exam, LTO? Are you home free? It's a vacation time. Vedu. 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 Onaka. Whoops. You're free at last? Alright. Yay, you skipped to section 4. Nice, nice. Oh, actually, no, I'll find out later, soon enough. But all right. So, this is what I mean. Here, let me show you. Maybe they fixed it. So that one's fine. That one's fine. Oh, they might have fixed it. Hold. 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 So there were stroke order problems. I think they might have fixed it though. Oh, I think they fixed it. Oh no, here it is. So no, I'm good. I'm pretty good. Yo. So there are a few chapters where some of the characters are kind of borked. Like you see this? It's missing, but I think it's not all the chapters. You can see that something went devastatingly wrong, but it looks like it corrected itself after I stopped noticing. I don't check stroke orders anymore too often, so it looks like the current ones don't do that anymore. So it's like in the middle. Yeah, it's in the middle. I'm gonna say somewhere between section 369, maybe a little bit more. So it's between the 60s. It's in the 60s where there's like something went wrong, and maybe it's 60. Yeah, like 67. Some of the characters just got lost. That's okay though. Obviously you can cross-reference, but it looks like it's since I usually stop paying attention to these things anymore because of writing. My writing proficiency is past that. It doesn't look like it's happening anymore. That's why I didn't notice it anymore. Yeah, all of them are fine now. So it's somewhere in there occasionally, so it could crop up somewhere else, but this is the first time, which like largely 99% of the stuff is working. So it was bizarre, I know. That's something. All right, so off to the main event today. I get to see what the story is like about the passport, which kind of makes sense, I suppose. It's one of the first topics. All right. No hype included, right? I hope it's not underwhelming. All right, time for a story. Listen and read along with a quick story. Stories prepare you for real conversation. Maybe. Okay. All right.
ビクラムと妻のプリティは空港にいます。
Why did they write it like that? Wait, what is the first part?
ビクラムと妻のプリティは空港にいます。
What is that first thing? And taking a leave? Take care, Tio. How do you... What is this? Oh, that's how you write V. Oh. Yeah, they didn't use kanji here. Like kuko is not in kanji. So, and then that's it actually. It's just kuko. Yeah. What else? What else do you? Oh, yeah. Tsuma. Yeah, tsuma. Tsuma is a hand wavy. You don't. It's both. Tsuma is like you can find both, but kuko is definitely not. But Vic. Oh man, how do they pronounce?
ビクラムと妻のプリティは
Interesting.
空港にいます。
Oh, it slows down. I didn't realize it slows down too. So, Vikramu, Vikramu to tsuma no, burichi. Wait.
ビクラムと妻のプリティは
Buriti?
空港にいます。
Buriti? I don't know what that is. Puri. Okay, Puriti wa kuko ni imasu. Okay. So alright, so I guess he's with his wife. Oh, the wife's name. Puriti. I see. So Tsuma no Puriti. Maybe that's how they're going about it. So Vikram is with his wife Puriti. Puriti at the airport. Okay, fair enough.
どうしよう。僕のパスポートはどこ？
どうしよう。Boku. Oh no, Boku is not written as well. Boku no passporto wa. Oh, I mean the other ones are Neko, Koko, Doko. I guess what Doko works. I'm asking a question.
ここにないんだ。
ここにないんだ. Okay, sure.
ビクラム
Okay.
カバンの中にもない。
Kaban? Oh no. Kaban. Nah, I would probably write Kaban in kanji. Kaban no. Okay, there is a reason why they didn't use kanji turn, or I have a distinct feeling why they didn't use kanji. It's there's no option for furigana here. So that could be a thing where the story was added when they before they changed the path, and then after they changed the path, it looks like they are leaning closer to keeping it hiragana, but there's no, looking at it, there is, it's all entirely in kana. I guess the idea is that instead of jumping straight to kanji, it would be nice in the future if they do kanji with furigana instead. The reason why I know there isn't furigana is there's no cog in the top left. There's no cog in the top left, so all of it is probably in kana. So when you put a sad face, right? My rebuttal to whether it's a bad or a good thing is it's not a bad thing because you should already know all the kanji. So if you're reading the hiragana and you're having a tough time knowing what the kanji is, then your kanji is probably rusty, not the hiragana. At least in my opinion. Like kabam, we could write all of these if we wanted to. Typing is a little different. Typing is you type the hiragana, you're still typing the kana, and it's converting into a kanji. Hey, thanks Nojo. I think it's very different when you effectively just type the kana anyways and then write the kanji, as opposed to writing the kanji without the do you like kanji better, easier to read? Well, yeah, it is easier to read because you read kanji. I actually disagree that you wouldn't find kana easy to read if you started the same way I did with Duolingo. You can get very, very proficient. Kanji will be worse until it's not. That's what happens when it's practice. So when you like something better, it's because you did it more often, in my opinion. Now, we could go and compare the compression. Yeah, kanji is definitely a lot more compressed than, and I like how they juxtapose with the different things. But kanji is not strictly better because it's easy to read, in my opinion. Kanji is strictly better because you read kanji more often. Now, I would still give the nod that kanji objectively is more compressed than kana. But if you give someone who doesn't know any kanji this, they would likely say they can read this more than they read kanji. So then the kanji is not better for them, right? So I'm not saying you should feel that way. I'm trying to explain why it is that way or why that is the case. Up to this point, usually if I had to guess why they chose to do this, is largely because up to this point you're still learning kanji and you're not actually you're still learning kanji, so they went with kana. But I think the best, in my opinion, the best of both worlds is to have furigana available for this section, and that probably requires R&D time or something. I don't know. I think that's an interesting omission to not write in kanji and have furigana available. Yeah. As to keep in mind keeping in mind the biases, right? The biases that we have. I prefer to read kanji now too. So however, instead, if it's offered in kana, then I would write, which means that we should start writing these things down, right? So let's write these down. And we can stay on the screen, I'm pretty sure. So we have Tsuma. Tsuma is kind of a weird one. I think Tsuma was the... Oh. I might have to look closer at Tsuma. I think it's the ka. So it's the ka. And then the female marker. I don't know if there's an extra stroke. I feel like there might be one. Yeah, there is an extra. So there's one above. And then we have Kuko. I don't know what to call it. Write the call. The port. So, ku. And then ko. Nope. I think it's this. Oh, I've got the water. Ha 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 na. Yeah. I don't get it. So we have the sky port. Haha wa hana ga suki. Okay. I know, but I don't understand why you're. Oh no, it's a different port. I don't understand why you wrote that. It's this port. Okay. And then oh no, never mind. It slides with the thing. Okay, I guess. Does it stay there? It stays there, so that's fine. You know what? Then might as well write it next to the thing, right? So where are we? We have Uma. And Kuko. Oops. Oh wait, that's not the same one. It's actually this. Wait. No. It is. It's this, actually. Alright. And then we have Kabam. Kabam. Kabam is 50-50. Or is a maybe. It's a maybe most of the time. So I went with the Kawa, right? Kawa. Sort of Kawa. This. And then Bao. That. Okay. To show you kanji is important? No. That yes. Like Duo did that before. Aha wa hana ga suki, but I can show you lots of things are important. Like if you wrote this phrase out to anyone, I'm going to show you your biases right now. So you wrote this phrase out, right? Because you can type, right? Hana ga suki, right? I'll show you why kana is important too. It's the same thing. This person doesn't know this kanji, doesn't know this kanji, doesn't know this kanji. So they're gonna say, don't know ha, don't know ha ga, don't know ki. They get nothing. So now I demonstrated to you that kana is important too. So, yes, kanji is important. So is kana. That's the whole point. You need to know all of it. Just because you skipped over fundamentals and now you're good with fundamentals doesn't mean the other thing is less important. So, yes, I agree. Kanji is important. I didn't say it wasn't. And now I'm going to demonstrate to you why kana is important. Because when someone's learning Japanese, they won't see anything but those 3 characters. And not only do they only see those 3 characters, they only see articles and maybe like a predicate ending. So yes, in the beginning, we all started here at some point. So like if that we need furigana, yes, that's kind of what I was alluding to. Then furigana is useful here, right? And then also you would need kana to understand the reads on the kanji, because if you don't know if this is haha, then you might not even know if it was supposed to be what it's supposed to be. Because without kana, sometimes you might not know what the read is on the thing, so then it's useful for pronunciation. You could know the meaning of this, but you might not be able to know what it reads like. So sometimes you could have like nichi, for example. Nichi, or nichi or ka. This one is a pretty good example of kana being important even if you know the kanji, because of its unit properties with days, right? So counters can be a problem where if you, it is easy to know what it means, but you might not know what the read is on it. The other example I can think of that kana might be important, or furigana might be important even when you know the kanji, you'll know the meaning for sure, is euphonic changes. Euphonic changes. So things like this. So you know that's probably 1 minute, right? Right off the bat, you know it's 1 minute. You know the kanji. These are kanji characters. But then you go to read it and you're thinking, is it ichihun or itpun? Even if you say ichihun, I honestly, if you see this, you probably still know the meaning of it. The meaning of it is self-explanatory, right? And then it ends up being a furigana situation. However, I think you can read this for the rest of your life and you'll still get the meaning of it. You might not get the read on it. So most of the counter situations could represent a thing. And actually, what happened with some people was that they just do it like they know what you mean anyways, even if you don't do a euphonic change. Like ipun, sanbun, right? Jupun, that kind of thing. So there are examples, but ultimately, like, you do all of the above if you want it. This is I guess an example of, you can choose to do it or you can choose not to do it. I do both regardless. So when I'm reading kanji, sometimes I practice kana. Like I practice imagining the kana. Yeah. So kaban no naka ni mo nai. So Hmm. Oh, right. Naka. Naka ni mo nai. So it's not in the bag.
そしてジャケットにもない。
Okay. I don't think it's close to. No. Jacket ni mo nai. Okay. And the jacket. Vikramu can't find his passport. Okay, so they also use English. No, that's wrong. Wait. Okay. Yes. Wait. Wait. Oh my gosh. They wrote this statement as a negative statement. So, yes, it's right that Vikram can't find his passport. Not no. He cannot find his passport. Okay. That's
で
fine.
もビク
Okay.
そうだ、パスポートはタクシーの中だ。
Rip. Okay. Right. It's in the taxi. All right. Soda. Passport wa taxi no nakata. Okay. They still use the plain form though, so this is in the correct area of the.
ビクラムはタクシーに向かって走ります
Ikuruma. I don't. Yeah, this is the first time for me, so I have no idea. We're trying to figure out how we can make this stuff like useful to me at the moment. Vikuramu wa taxi ni mukatte wa wait, hashirimasu. Mukatte hashirimasu. Mukatte. I wish I could read kana without the kanji, but know what kanji it is better. Yeah. So this is challenging for me to hear it and then imagining the kanji. So like you have to close your eyes, right? So you're right now what the problem here is when you hear it, you're supposed to not be able to see these words anyways, right? So what do you hear? Because the kanji should come to you if you think your hearing, if your listening skills are good, right? If you're saying your listening comprehension is very good, then if you close your eyes, you should already know the kanji, right? And then now you can remember what the kana looks like. But that's about it, right? And because if you can hear it, you only hear kana, you can't see kanji. Yeah. So now you're supposed to try to see the kanji while hearing it because the person's actually speaking to you. And sometimes, hear me out. Sometimes I do close my eyes when I'm listening to like podcasts and stuff, and it is so difficult for me to imagine the kanji. But if I picture the kana, because of the way I learned in Duolingo, I convert the kana into the kanji eventually. However, now we're doing the exercise as though we need to find the kanji based on the sound and not reading for the kanji, right? Like, so that is one of those things that I know I suck at because I don't do any of it. I don't hear someone and picture the kanji at all. Like that's something I haven't really done too often. I usually force myself to do it. So this one is mukatte. Mukatte hashirimasu. So I'm not even sure if I have the vocabulary yet, because I'm not even sure if I remember the vocabulary. So mukatte is so that can't be right, can it? Yeah, so they're saying let's start heading towards the taxi, right? Those muku is muku is right? Oh no, wait. Yeah. No, it can't be muku. Because that's mukatte. So that's is it? No, because that doesn't conjugate into that. That would end up being mui. Or oh no, wait. No, it is muku. No, it's not. No, the te form would be mui. Hmm. Oh, mukatte. Omi. No, I don't know. Hmm. Also, we know the other one is. So Hashimas is just run. So let's run. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Run towards. It's mukatte, and then hashiru, right? Hashiru. But I'm having trouble understanding how that's conjugated. Is that conjugated properly? I guess it is. What is the plain form of this one? What's the plain form of this one? So I thought it was muku, right? This muku. But if it was, I don't understand. I know there's a conversion where you can do. Oh, it could be mukui though. So it's mukui, and then it comes mukatte. Oh, mukau. Oh, muka. Oh, okay. That I did not have before. If it's mukau, then it works. Yeah, mukatte. Is that a thing? Oh. Oh, mukau. So I don't actually have this vocabulary yet. Oh, mukau. Okay, now it makes sense. Yeah, mukau, that makes sense. Yeah, this is a new one. So here's the thing, right? This is a story section. So you're trying to figure out how they're gonna teach you something, right? How they're going to teach you something. And even if I don't know what this is, right? Even if I don't know what this is, I already know enough from this sentence that this has to be towards. Like we have to run towards something, right? You have to run towards the taxi based on the story, right? As the story is going, he has to be saying, he's teaching you to listen. Yeah. So for me, this is how stories work, if you know what I mean. So this is what I'm gonna be doing for the rest of, not to like get you really anxious or anything, but this is probably how I'm going to learn the stories, right? And I hope they continue to do this kind of thing. This is kind of like graded reader territory. We're going into graded readers territory where they will introduce something that falls off, right? However, even if I have no idea what this is, I know from all the other things that it has to be something. It has to be a direction. And then the direction has to be towards something, right? It has to be towards the taxi. So that's kind of, and then I will use a dictionary or something. Not that you're supposed to do that with graded readers. Generally, there's some like visual aid. You would have to imagine like Vikram pointing at the, right? Oops, pointing at the taxi, right? It's like, oh, you know, man, Vikuramu, right? Vikuramu wa taxi ni mukatte hashirimasu. Then there'd be like some sort of a visual, and that's usually how grade readers go about their teaching. Yeah. You teach by context, and I'm guessing that's kind of what they're trying to go for, but you can see that there's no visual aid. Now hear me out here, Turn. There is a new feature in Duolingo, but I think it's only for English right now and Spanish. They recently teased it for English, I think, and not the Spanish course. The Spanish course already has it, where they do adventures. It's called Adventures, or maybe they're available for both, and it's like an iOS thing. And the tease was it's finally coming to Android. That's also a thing in the development cycle, but they're called Adventures. And what they do is, instead of this like dialogue box, they have the scenario animated. So they had the thing animated where like someone like walks in, goes up to a counter and orders orders a like a coffee, right? And you're supposed to select dialogues and stuff to fit in the choices. And then flashcards will show up where you click on the item and whatnot. So that is like the new stuff, but it's not for Japanese because Japanese is less popular, if you know what I mean. Like their priority of features is based on the most popular, and they go down. So I don't know if Japanese will get that in the future. I think the thing that Japanese is working on right now is voice recognition. Pretty sure the newest thing for at least Android devices was voice recognition, as in you have voice exercises, because that's actually kind of a new thing. The Chinese course actually already had voice exercises, so it's interesting. Anyways, so I learned something new here. So what was it? Mukau. Interesting. Let's put Mukau here. This is really exciting. Don't get me wrong, but like, I'm really excited. I kind of hoped it was a little sooner. So I think Mukau only has the box in it. Mukau. Oh, wait. Is that the stroke order? Yeah, I guess. I'm really engaged right now. So yeah, Mukau and Hashiru. Hashiru is a Godan, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, Hashiru is a Godan. Okay. All right, let's proceed. We're taking this very, very slowly. I want to make sure no one like falls out of their chair or something out of excitement, but we're taking this very, very slowly. Choose the option that means run. Oh, okay. See, we already went ahead of it. We already went ahead of how they're teaching the thing. Okay, that's fine.
ビクラム、違う。
違う. There are only a few ichidan verbs that are godan verbs. Yeah, I know. And, you know, I don't know if you know the relationship between the writing, the kanji writing between godan and ichidan. So when I was asking myself, actually, I'm kind of curious. What do you think I was looking at when I said, is hashiru a godan? I'm actually curious if you noticed this or not. Since I'm writing hashiru, do you know do you know why I asked myself if this is a godan or ichidan? Since I'm writing it, it might not be so, in my opinion, it might not be so apparent to someone if you're really used to typing and reading only. Chigao is differ, right? That's the wrong. So maybe wrong direction coming up. So if you listen and you say hashiru, when you're listening specifically in hashiru, it could be you could include the shi or the ru in the term, but if you're really used to reading, you're probably like, oh, hashiru, you only have the ru available, right? Oh, only the ru available. The marker of a godan in writing is that the ru is the only thing that's showing. If it's shiru, this is an ichidan. But I'm concerned about writing. So godan is when the iru is part of the character itself. So this is actually hashi as opposed to ha. So I'm like remembering the kana basically. I'm associating the kana. So this is hashi as opposed to ha, and then shiru. So if you hear it, you can probably hear hashiru, right? Hashiru. It doesn't matter if there is or not turn. I'm explaining to you that this is an example that if you're writing it and you're going to go to write it and you hear hashiru, you can tell yourself there isn't that or isn't that. It applies to all the characters. Like it doesn't matter if it doesn't exist, because if it doesn't exist, then you don't know for sure if it does exist, right? So that's the only point that I'm making here. It's something you don't think about, in my opinion, largely because even if you type it, it will still come out as hashiru this way, where this character is hashi, right? That's fine. But I'm explaining to you what I was thinking, which is probably not something that you were thinking when you told me there are only a few ichidan verbs that are godan verbs. I know there are only a few ichidan verbs that are godan verbs. There are, and it's actually the other direction. I'm actually checking if I thought hashiru is godan. It's definitely godan, right? Because of its conjugations that I know. But is it an ichidan? And I'm going the other direction. So, and when you're writing, I can almost say that try writing all your predicates, and whenever a iru and a eru comes up, if you're writing without the assistance of seeing it or anything, like you don't see it or like type it, you're still going to encounter a situation in which you're not sure if you're going to write a do without a second kana to whatever it's connected with when you're writing. So I'm basically trying to explain what was going on in my head when I said that. It had very little to know if it was the relationship between how many things are. 違う. So 違う is, which one is 違う? It's not いらない. No, I'm thinking of いらない earlier. So 違う. Probably the box. And this. Yes. Let's clean that up. Oh my gosh, it's too small. Let's write it larger. This. I think it's this. What is this new format? It's the story format, Blair. It's the story format. It's in unit. It's in section 3, unit 76. Or yeah, 76. Okay. So pretty sure this is Chigao, and this thing is too big. Fine. Do you think you should practice writing kanji? I don't think so. All the things I said, they're extra steps, Churn. If you're not into writing, none of, like, if I have to be my worst enemy, like my worst opponent, if you're typing kanji and you're reading kanji and you're speaking kanji, you can skip over writing, in my opinion, unless you really enjoy the actual writing portion. Most of the stuff that I said is explaining some of the thoughts that come with writing, and if that's not interesting to you, I don't think any of that is too relevant. For me, I really enjoy writing. Like, I like doodling and whatnot, so you would have to really be into that. I would say lots of this is extra time, so it actually slows you down, because some words you don't know how to write in traditional Chinese. Oh, Do you want to write traditional Chinese? I'm a little biased here. I don't think I'm gonna be able to learn Chinese well enough that I would be like, oh yeah, simplified. I need more than simplified. So I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, is that the simplified? Oh, I didn't even know. Yeah, I haven't learned the character, this character yet. Wait. I'm guessing it's this. I think that this character, this radical, was in Hanguo. Yeah. It's in Hanguo. Oh no. Yeah. It's in Han. But oh, so it's that thing. Okay. But your friend said they prefer to see traditional Chinese because traditional looks pretty on text, but if written, you simplify because easier to write. Same for you too. So You want to use, that's interesting. Writing my own notes is the only time I have to write you have to write kanji, Blair. Yeah, I use it to write my notes. So, that's interesting. That's an interesting thought. So if you're writing kanji in your notes, I feel like, yeah, if you wanted to write traditional, but here's my thought, right? Your friend said they prefer to see traditional Chinese. Are you writing to your friend manually? Because if you're already typing, couldn't you use traditional and just type out the thing anyways? Or do you want to write a letter to someone sometime in the future? You write manually to them. Huh. And then, yeah, you simplify. No. What I mean is, so you're asking, here's my thought, right? Here's my thought. You are asking, or what I mean is, you said, okay, possibly if you write kanji, it could help with traditional, right? Traditional Chinese. And then one of the reasons is your friend and you prefer to see traditional because it's prettier. I don't share the same feelings, but friend, see traditional Chinese is prettier. However, when you write, it's easier to write with simplified because it's simplified. So objectively, so this is an objective statement, right? It's simplified, fewer strokes and whatnot, but it's prettier. So this is a subjective statement. Now, the question is, you're saying, should you write kanji to learn to write traditional Chinese? My question was, when you communicate with your friend, do you already type? Because if you already type, then you can still do traditional off of your understanding of simplified. So it wouldn't be a problem because you'll still see traditional off your understanding of simplified. So it goes back to the idea that if you're going to write the kanji, are you going to write to your friend? Yeah. So if you're already typing traditional, no. Okay. All right. Hear me out. I'm not saying what you do. You keep saying typing. I know you're saying you type using traditional and then you write using simplified. And your concern, you're asking me, should you write kanji to be able to write traditional Chinese? And one of the motivations that you're saying is your friend and you like to see traditional Chinese, right? See it. If you're already typing traditional, then you and your friend can already communicate seeing traditional Chinese. So if you're ever going to go to write something, you don't have to communicate using simplified Chinese. You can write when it's useful to you out of convenience. But your friend doesn't have to see simplified from you unless you're choosing to write to your friend in Chinese. I don't know if the logic makes sense here. So if, based on what you're saying, if you continue to type to your friend, no. The answer, for me, it would be probably no. You don't need to learn to write kanji to learn to write traditional Chinese because you're already typing to your friend in traditional Chinese. unless you plan on writing a letter to them or something, then you would need to learn how to write in traditional Chinese. Then I would say, yeah, it's a fairly indirect way of learning how to write traditional Chinese. I don't know if the logic checks out here. Right? Because you guys already see traditional Chinese. If that's the most important thing you're sharing. But you need to recognize the traditional words. Do you have a problem recognizing the traditional words off of the simplified characters? Interesting. I'm not sure how much writing affects that. That's a good point. I mean, here's one thing that writing, quote unquote, I'm gonna take this with a grain of salt. Writing kanji and writing simplified Chinese often contributes to radical and form recognition. So that might be something that I don't relate to you very often, because even writing simplified Chinese and only looking at, but I do both. So I write both of these, right? The writing aspect makes you hyper focus. It makes you in my opinion, it causes me to hyper focus on radical form recognition. So whenever I see like things like this, right, for the first time, I'm like, wait a minute, why does that look weird? And it's like, where have I seen this next to this, right? Like, wait a minute, that's next to this. But wait a minute, this isn't in simplified. That kind of thing. This is not a great example, but this is the first example I'm thinking of. And this is like, wait a minute, this is not traditional as well. So that kind of thing does happen more often when you're writing, to me anyways. I don't know about others, when you're writing both kanji and simplified at the same time. I'm not sure if writing kanji only is gonna connect with not writing simplified, but you already write simplified, so that's already, you already do this. So I would say yes, a little bit. It may boost your focus on radical form. Lots of people ask me for a while now, like, do I study radicals, right? Do I study radicals? And the answer is no, I don't study radicals. And then I think about it a little harder and I say, well, yes and no. I observe radicals. And then I make my own patterns with radicals. The reason that happens is because I write both kanji and simplified at the same time. So you have to be forced to understand what the radicals are and how to write the radicals, because writing deals with a component of understanding radicals. So no, I haven't picked up a radical thing, but there is something to that. So that might be a thing. If you're telling me that this is something I can't take back anymore. So if you're telling me, so what you're telling me is not writing kanji makes us different, then I would probably say yes. So like the difference between you and me right now is I write kanji, but I also write simplified Chinese. You already shared with me that you write simplified Chinese, but you seldomly write kanji. So that's probably the difference between you and me right now. And my thought was, if you write enough simplified Chinese, I think you can figure out the difference. However, based on what you're saying, it might not be true for you, right? Like I was under the impression, this is me because I don't have this experience anymore. If someone writes simplified Chinese, right? For example, if they write it long enough, if they just look at kanji, they would be able to tell the difference immediately. However, now that's my assumption. I'm making this assumption, which now you're telling me that might not be true, which that's good to know because I don't actually know. Since I already started writing kanji before I started writing simplified. So every time I see a simplified character, I think of kanji. And then when I think of kanji, I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is the simplified character. Like you quickly learn things like this, right? Like these two, this is the simplified and this is the traditional. So that's a good thing to know. That's actually something I can never know anymore. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, that maybe I'm being a little presumptuous, that if you look at two different things, it'll become obvious. For you, primary school, they already teach the main radicals. Oh, okay. And now as a Chinese, I don't really care about the radicals. I just need to see the word. Yeah, and you'll instantly know how to write it. I see. I guess we're a little different because our backgrounds are different. That's true also. Yeah, our experiences are different too, right? Our experiences are different. So yeah, it's kind of it's the kana situation. It's a kana situation in my opinion. Churn, you're like, this discussion is really, really interesting to me because I want to know what the learning differences are, right? It's the kana situation. So if you can recognize the kanji, right? So say like you wanted to translate something. If you already recognize the kanji, you don't need to know the kana, or you skip the kana, right? You can take the kanji and you can always go back to the kana, as in you skip back, right? So writing, to me is like, I would go English, I would go radical, and I would go the full character, right? Now, after a while, characters that I know really, really well, really well, I start jumping. So I start jumping, and then after a while, when I go back, or if I need to go back or go forward like this, I sometimes forget which radical it is that's with it. So like, yeah, you can get so accurate that you'll recognize things as they are, right? Like, for example, you'll always be able to recognize the difference between these two, right? However, you're not, in my opinion, for me, when I know these really, really well, I stop thinking of them as two separate radicals. So whenever there's a new word that comes up, right? When there's a new word that comes up that use either of these, right? Like say this word, I don't know of it. I mean, a new character. Like, I'm not sure if this character exists or not, but let's just say a character like this exists, right? I don't actually know. I would not make the connection of this to this character and this to this character. That is how Duo teaches Hanzi, by the way. And that's how Duo teaches kanji. Because okay. Yes, that's fine. Because again, that's not the point I'm trying to make. You got to follow my logic here. Because that's the way Duo teaches based on the radical system, as in like associating parts of characters with other characters. The way I think about kanji and simplified Chinese helps me look at traditional and simplified obvious. It's obvious to me because this is how I think about characters right now. Maybe further down the line, I will end up being like you, where I would skip this process entirely. So for now, as long as I'm using Duolingo, for example, I see characters as pieces of things I write. And then when I recognize the word, I relate them to any new word based on their radicals. So because of that, I'm very hyper alert of when a character changes between kanji and simplified Chinese. Now the question is, if you started writing kanji, are you going to do that? I am likely going to say probably like 70% no, you're not going to, and 30% yes, you might start to. As in, even if you start writing kanji now, the way you think about characters no longer supports or aids in looking for the difference between simplified and kanji. So in the long run, writing traditional is probably going to be a more likely scenario. As in, if I'm trying to understand the way you think about characters now, I think it's more likely if you want to write or recognize traditional characters, you're probably going to have to write traditional characters if you're considering writing something, right? Thinking about the relationship between kanji and simplified characters in order to find what the difference is requires that you don't skip this step. You don't skip relating radicals together anymore, because you have to know what's the same and what's different. And it's probably harder or like less obvious because you don't need to do that anymore. You're already way past the radical stage. You don't even need to think about the characters as different parts. You think about them as whole things, and that's probably my thought about it. It's a lot deeper. I think the discussion is super interesting, the way we think differently about the characters. To be honest, like the characters, if it's obvious, you know the radicals, but like the other words, you don't know what radical is. It is okay. Interesting. So by obvious, you mean what the meanings are in the radicals, because you're using the meaning in order to explain the radicals, as opposed to using the radicals to explain the meaning. Like, for example, I think what you described there is what I mean by the flowchart. So what I mean by this is, when I see a character, right? If you see a character, whether it's new or not. So whether it is new or not, let's just separate them into C character, if it's new, if it's old, for example. Like as in old being familiar and new being either forgotten or unfamiliar, right? For me, I'm going to use you to contrast me. For me, either way, I look at radicals and then I present the meaning. Now, the way you're describing it is there's two situations happening. So, there's two situations happening here. When it's new, you might look at the radicals to get the meaning. But you're saying, well, you don't know what the radicals are. Don't know, as in like the meaning of the radicals. When it's old, you skip straight to the meaning. In my opinion, this is what's happening. In my opinion, you skip straight to the meaning because you already know the meaning, and then you go back, and the radicals are easy to explain because you already know the meaning. Then you fit the radicals to the meaning, as in, oh, I know this word, this is the character. Okay, I know what the radicals are because I already know what the character means. So I'm gonna make all the radicals fit the meaning. When you're entering a new thing, since you don't know the meaning, right? If you don't know the meaning, you can't possibly go back and look at the radicals. And to contrast this with me, I take a guess whether it's new or old. Whether it's new or old, I always guess from the radicals. For now, because I don't assume that I know the meaning. Even if it's an old word, I still look at the radicals. As in, like, hashiru. I'm still thinking to myself, hashiru, it's this, and this, because I have to write it. I have to write hashiru. So I think of it as this and this. These are the two things. And then sometimes I would break it further if I find something common. But this is a common writing pattern for me. And this is also a common writing pattern. So then when I go to try to figure out what this means, I'm like, I can think of a few characters that I do know that has this. I can think of a few characters. It's not going to give me the answer though. Like if it's a new word, it's a guess, right? If it's an old word, what happens is I look at the characters again. I'm like, hey, can I get from the radical definition to the meaning I already know? I already know the meaning, but the first thing I do all the time right now, since I'm a beginner, I look at the radicals and then I'm like, okay, so if you combine this and this, okay, it goes with the meaning. Like eventually it goes with the meaning, right? I try to resist going from the meaning to the radical, but I do that too. Like I'm getting to the point where when you see hashiru, it's like, oh well, hashiru is run. Okay, let's see what radical is in hashiru that depicts running. And that's kind of how I feel most people go about it when they're looking at like for example, this, right? If I don't know this character, and even if it's old, I see earth, I see day. So I see earth, I see day, and I see or actually I see maybe like this, and then I see this. So how do I negotiate that? Well, this I know is part of mono, right? This is part of mono. This is part of omiyage. There's a omiyage in this, because it's earth, right? And then that, the only thing I can gather right now is cheap in Chinese. So 便宜is the closest thing I have. So it's pretty random. It's pretty random. And what I'm thinking is I'm trying to think where else is the radical in another word. It might not come together. So it could produce a lot of what's happening is I'm always constantly thinking about how all the radicals show up in my growing vocabulary list. You, in my opinion, based on how you're describing, if it's this, it's this. That's it. So if you're looking for something that's similar to this, you might be looking at bigger chunks, maybe like all of this. Or what you could do, which Hideyoshi does all the time, is they would take the meaning of this character and go find other meaning that is the same, and then relate the two characters together, whatever the other two characters are. Like, for example, if you're looking for a pattern, you could say like, this is dealing with like kind of location, right? So you have basho and hiruba, right? Hiruba and basho, they both use this larger character, and they're both related by their meaning in a way. Hiruba is a plaza, it's a place, sort of. Basho is a place. So it's a bigger compression, right? Now you're comparing bigger things. And I think I'm going to end up doing the same thing in the future, because you don't have to do whatever I'm doing right now. Now the question is that useful or not? I think the way I'm thinking about it, it's useful to compare kanji and simplified, because the difference between traditional and simplified is actually at this level. It's at this radical level. It's not at a higher level where you're imagining full characters. They are not easily distinguishable. If you're looking at a higher level, it's a bit of a blur. Like, okay, well, this is the character. Is that the traditional thing? Traditional things break parts of those characters down. It's a thought. To be honest, how I remember Chinese characters is to separate it and then combine them together, or just see how it kind of look like. Based on how you're describing, I kind of disagree with you. If you're taking this, unless you're talking about taking the characters, like these bigger characters, I'm doing the same thing, only I'm doing them with smaller things. I'm doing them with radicals. So maybe you're talking about like bigger characters, like in general a bigger character. Because for me, if you're doing that already, or for instance, if you're doing that already, looking at kanji and looking at simplified characters, it would become very obvious which one is simplified and which one, like, what is the simplified characters, because you're already doing that. You're already putting the parts together, right? So in my opinion, long story short, this is a really, again, I want to emphasize, it's a really great thought experiment. If you start writing, provided you have enough time and you're interested, it would be interesting to know if you suddenly, like bigger stuff, like really big picture stuff, exactly. I don't even know what the last thing is, but yes. So basically the one constant is this thing here, right? So you're looking for a constant, and then now the only thing that actually changes this here, this part. I agree. I think that's the thing that most people do, and it does help pick up some of the simplified stuff. Like, it kind of does. The stuff in this position, for example, is one of the places. But then, and then you get things like, for example, did you notice this? I noticed this right away. Is this the Chinese character or the Japanese character? Or spring. Haru or Chuen. Did I write Haru or Chuen? Both? Japanese. That's the Chinese character. This is the Japanese character. This is Haru. it's a really subtle. This is what I'm using an example that actually it may or may not. Oh, and also, yeah, this stroke is longer right here. Yeah, this stroke is longer. This is not an example of simplified versus traditional, though. This is not a great example. Yeah, yeah. So you do notice those things, Churn. You do notice those things. So I'm not sure writing is gonna do that much if you already notice these things. Like, for example, what I mean is here. No. This is what I mean. This stroke is actually different right here. It's actually a different length. The stroke order is the same. This is the same stroke order. These two are the same stroke order. But what I saw consistently is Japanese, when you have this pattern, the strokes cross two lines, across the line, as opposed to not. Now, hear me out. I don't actually know if that's like how consistent that is. What I'm trying to demonstrate is if you start writing, you'll end up noticing differences like this, in my opinion. If you're an attentive, observant person, if you start writing, things, subtleties like these matter, right? Like, or for example, it gets you the resolution of this thing. Like, did I, for example, I'm just gonna write these now. So which one's Chinese, which one's Japanese? Like, after a while, I actually know that my handwriting also varies between which one's Japanese and which one's Chinese. And for sake of a time, this is Chinese and this is Japanese. Because my spacing is slightly biased. It's supposed to look the same. It is the same character. The stroke order is what changed. So Japanese does this at this position, and Chinese does this at this position. And what I'm trying to demonstrate here is if you're gonna start writing, right? For example, especially between Japanese and Chinese, you will feel these things. You will notice these things. And I think, to me, that gives the minor details. It'll make you like focus on minor details. Yes, that too. This one as well. Or actually, maybe it might not be this one. It could be this one. This is the one that changes. So that's the Chinese. So this is the Chinese. And the Japanese is... I didn't get the Japanese too often yet. It's... I think that's the Japanese. So it looks different because the stroke order really does impact the way I write consistently. So I'm pretty sure the Chinese is that one and the Japanese is that one, and they're both the same character. Yeah. So here are my thoughts, right? I know this is worth all the time because I love talking about this. This is something that people don't talk about. You still write as Chinese stroke order? Yeah, I kind of like the Chinese stroke order, but the idea is I have more practice. I have more practice in the Chinese stroke order. Now, hear me out here. I think writing is so interesting because of this. I just spent the last 30 minutes talking about writing. I think writing is really interesting. Now, I am sharing all of this to demonstrate, is any of this interesting to you? Like, for anyone who's about to go watch this or watch this later, if none of if the things I'm talking about is not that interesting, I don't think you're gonna gain a lot of subjective value. Off of writing. Instead of like looking closely at things, right? For me, I think because you have to constantly look and consider these things, writing helps you hyper focus on the characters. Like it focuses you on the characters in themselves, like as a like a picture or something like that, and that could reach your goal. So in a super long-winded thing, Churn, it's probably yes or no, right? I was like, why Japanese so many different stuff, but after a while you just accepted the reality. Yeah, so long story short, I tried to provide the most adequate answer I have with the limited experience. Like my experience is still really limited. My favorite things are finding these little things. I don't think they benefit you in any way if your major goal is to communicate or learn Japanese or learn Chinese. I don't think it goes like, I don't think it will impact you in that way. I think there are many different ways to understand, like learn traditional, recognizing traditional and simplified. For me, whenever I get there, I might have the same exact problem you have, where I've already spent so much time with simplified Chinese that I stop thinking about it at a level that will make me recognize the difference between traditional and simplified, even if I know Japanese. Like even if I know kanji or write kanji, I'm not saying I'm special, basically. There's a chance by the time I get there, I spent so much time learning kanji that I just skip. I just like, oh, that's kanji. I know what's in it. And then that's simplified. I know what's in it. And then when you look at traditional, I'm like, well, that doesn't look like any of my kanji or any of my simplified characters. I don't know what it is, right? That would be the most reasonable outcome. So I think you're much, much further than me when it comes to looking at kanji and looking at simplified Chinese, that we can no longer relate yet, or we may relate in the future with the same issues, or if you wanted to learn traditional. Now, one last disclaimer. I do not have friends that particularly say I need to type in traditional. I'm actually typing with someone, like talking to someone on a phone now, and they use simplified because they live in mainland China. So yeah, and other people say why you can't read traditional Chinese the same as simplified. Exactly. So it's definitely an emotional question, right? If you have a lot of people around you that is encouraging you or wanting you to learn traditional, the question is, do you think that makes you feel better? And do you think your other acquaintances and friends and family and stuff would also be encouraging to you? That's probably my first question to myself. And then finding any possible way to help with that is pretty cool, right? For me, I have little to zero motivation to learn traditional. So I start with simplified and see where it goes. Learning simplified might make me want to learn traditional. I think that's my goal right now, my thought process. So maybe we'll see. We'll see down the road if it helps me the way I learn. What I can tell you though, hear me out here, Churn. If you learn, if you do the exercises in Duolingo on your kanji, it is a wild ride. Because they do things really, really broken down. Like for example, if I give you, for example, this, right? That's why Japanese help you recognize. Yeah. So here, right? Say you get this for Duolingo, right? You get this for Duolingo. Some of the exercises, they're gonna give you words that have this, and this, because they're going to see it as three different things. Okay? They're going to see it as three different things. They are also going to see it as two different things. Right? And then they're going to do it by number. How many things have three different radicals? Also, even more, this is side by side. So these are full vertical. It's three vertical characters. Now you could have different setups like this. You can have a character that fits in this type of situation, and they're going to find any character that you know up to that point that has this structure, as in this positioning structure. So it could be any character, and usually one of these characters is going to share a character with this. So then you're going to start looking for smaller bits, which is what makes traditional so recognizable to me, or the difference between kanji and simplified. Because if this is one, it's like that's about your normal thing. That's what you're typically doing. You're taking the biggest character and you're looking at the things that are different from it. However, they can end up swapping it up and having 2 and 3 be preserved, like up here, and this would be a new X. So, and to me, the reason why they do this is because it's automated. Like what I mean is, it's more of a robotic way to do it. The robotic way is to do all the combinations, all combinations of factors, right? And then they just mix and match until they get all the patterns. So as a human being, right? As a human, you don't do all combinations all the time. That's ridiculous. You skip to the right answer if you can, right? You skip these steps. So I don't know if that makes a big difference. The way I'm thinking now is a consequence of this. This is how Duolingo teaches Hanzi and Kanji, like the different parts. So the reason why this is really funny or fun is because sometimes there's no way I would be thinking, oh, okay, wow, I didn't even think about that. Because a lot of times I'm thinking about meaning, right? You stick with meaning. Like you would think of all the words or characters that are related in meaning first. And then you would think about how their biggest chunk, right? Their biggest chunk, say like the structure that you said, like this is the structure that you said, 1, 2. And then you would take the 2 and you would look at all the difference in 1, right? So you try to find all the similarities, the biggest similarities first. And then you keep going down to the lower end. Wow, the way Duolingo goes about it is it's all over the place. Sometimes they swap this, sometimes they swap this. It's hard to tell. And some days I'm like, holy heck, I didn't even think that was the same character. Right? In my head, I was like, well, I know that word and I know this word, but I didn't even think about connecting those two. And I kind of like that. That's kind of fun. It feels more like a video game to me. Like, hey, here's an out of the park thing. Like, have you considered that? What's a good one? Every instances of this. This one, which often comes in a structure of this, or this, or this, or this. I'll let you guess what characters I'm thinking of. But this can show up in these formats too. And let me see. There's one here. Right. Yeah. So these are the formats. And then of course the standalone. if you're thinking about it as a standalone. But generally speaking, this little character is actually the closest standalone is this. So if you can fill in the gaps in this, you probably get a few of the words that I'm thinking of right now. Especially this one. This one's kind of a dead giveaway. There are a couple that fits this structure very, very quickly, because there's only a few characters that look like this. Anyways, give you an example. How is this helpful to learning Chinese? It's not. I don't, or Chinese or Japanese. I don't think it is. I just find that the more I engage with the content, the more I remember. These positions bring you back to Korean? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. When I see now, hear me out. When I see characters now, like whenever I see another language that uses pictorial things, that's how I'm processing it. I'm like, oh, okay. So let's start with boxes. And do you draw at all, Churn? That's how I draw. That's how I draw, by the way. So if you think of a tree, right? This is how I think of a tree originally. When I first started drawing, this is how I think of a tree. No, you suck at drawing. You don't have an artistic sound. You might be surprised how artistic it can be. This is a tree, by the way. And the first way you start with fundamentals, if you're like someone who says you just suck all the living life out of arts, you start with primitives. You start with primitive shapes. So like you can go as basic as possible in your primitive shapes. So you saw how I reduced kanji, right? I reduced kanji, like for example, let's take this character, right? This character is 1, this shape, and this shape. That's how you get, right? That's how you get this character. Mukau. However, if you don't know what that is, you could also start with, there's a box here. There's something that looks like a box here, and then there's a literal box here, right? So after time, you can refine this into these things. And then you can then position them in the spot, right? And that's how you get the picture. So when it comes to artwork, how I imagine it, I don't actually know how other people imagine it. When I start artwork, when I think of a tree, first I think, okay, well, there's a trunk. So it's a rectangle. What is another defining part of a tree? Roots. So I think of them as you just draw a bunch of rectangles, or like what do you call them? Like 4-sided polygons, right? It's kind of like how computer graphics are done, right? Just low res. Think of it as low res. And then the tree bush could just start with a circle, and you have a tree. Now, how do you turn the tree into extra nice stuff? Well, you draw on top of it, right, in a digital format. So then you draw the roots like a little curlier. So you're just adding a bunch of angles. Yeah, and then you add like, right, a bunch of shapes to it, and then you go back, and what happens is you change up its structure, and now you're refining it. And how you refine the tree? Well, you could like imagine a bunch of sticks going out, right? Just draw any non thing, right? Okay. Now you have sticks. So what are you going to do? You're going to draw little bushes. around them, right? And you're drawing like random things because it's very difficult to know what the defined form is. And then what happens is you erase this part. So now you're not imagining just the blob, you're actually imagining the branches and the bushes. And then you kind of want to fill in the silhouette. So you're just gonna do a little bit on the outside. And now you have a more defined tree. Right? Now the tree looks more detailed than the polygon. So I approach kanji the same way. I approach Hanzi the same way. You take parts, you practice those parts, you understand those parts, and you keep building on top of those parts. And eventually, you can still get here. Do you do all those steps? I don't do all those steps anymore. Now when I start drawing a tree, I might jump right to this position. And if I jump to this position, now I can build even higher. Like I can go even further. What is even further? You could think about color. You can think about color. You can think about shadowing. So more and more bigger details, right? So you'd be surprised how artistic one can be. Trust. Obviously, if you're not interested in art, definitely don't force yourself to do art. Sometimes art can breathe life into writing. And I think art is the reason why I enjoy writing. So it's like kind of relevant. Anyways, thought I'd share a little bit. All right, let's get back. So Vikram is clearly what's this person's name? Pituri? I think Pituri. Pituri disagrees for whatever reason. Chigao. And we were writing Chigao. Chigao is yes, Chigao. That's kind of tall, but fair enough. So that's
プリティはビクラムに向かって走ります。
Puriti. Okay, Puriti. Puriti はビクラムに向かっていります。Okay, so now Puriti is running after, technically running after or towards Vikram, right? So we went over that. Let's write this out again, because this one, I don't actually know this. So this is MAKU. Okay.
どうしよう。タクシーはもうここにいない。
Okay, so the taxi is not here anymore. Sure. どうしよう。No, that's wrong. Oh no! I really dislike this type of phrasing because you're saying no, you're also saying that's wrong, but you could also say no, that's right, and it can like get confusing, and then people would make incorrect, that they would know the answer but they would misinterpret what that's saying. Like the thing I don't really, I'm not the biggest fan of exam like questions, like double barrel questions like this, is because the flow could be different. Like the question could say you know, did the taxi leave, right? Did the taxi leave? That's affirmative. So you know that the statement is, if you agree with it, it means this thing is true. If you disagree with it, then this thing is not true. However, when you're phrasing it as, was the taxi still parked, right? Now you're thinking, if the taxi is expressed that's leaved, and then you're suddenly, the question's asking if it's parked, then you're thinking the opposite. You're like, wait a minute. So the taxi is not there anymore. So therefore the taxi is not still parked. And I think those are the things that get me, it slows me down so much in exams. And exams deliberately do that a lot of times because they're trying to make sure you read, right? You read instead of follow logically. Or like follow logically in the sense of tone. Like if this person is being negative and then the statement is asking a positive question or an affirmative question, and then they make the answers in reverse. So they would start with a positive statement and then a negative statement. You can double negate. You can double negate to make this more difficult to understand because English is ep. Actually, every language does this, so it's fine. It's one of my pet peeves, like not pet peeves, but it's one of my problems that I have with exam questions. I've had this problem for a very long time, and it become pretty obvious that I'm really terrible with like true and false questions. Especially, I'm like, wait, so that's true. Then the statement, like if you're given a false statement, right? This is false. And then if they say true or false is your question, is your choice, true or false, that's the basic line. That's like, okay. It's like, okay, so this is a false statement. So you want to click on false, right? The taxi was still parked in the same place? Yes, that's right. Well, see, this, and then they flipped it, right? This is the true, this is the, no, yeah, see, this is the false statement, and this is the true statement. As in, while this statement is stating something that isn't true, the answer you're looking for is that this is the correct statement. No, that's wrong. As in, it's true that this statement is false, even though you just read the true statement up here, which is opposite of this. That's the stuff that you might be thinking, oh yeah, that's so nitpicky. I'm like, when I go to make exams, I either intentionally do that or I don't. Because sometimes your exams might be tricky, not because the student doesn't know their content, like know the knowledge. It's that the way you written your exam, it's tricky. As in, when a student comes up to you and say, why is your exam written so weirdly? Like, it feels so tricky. Like I'm being punished for not understanding how you write your exam, and not if I know the content, if I know the knowledge, right? This is the type of stuff that whenever I'm like assisting a teacher, right, in exams, I look at this stuff a lot of times where, okay, so why does this question feel overly complicated, but it has no new knowledge? Like, how could I write this question so that I could really measure if a student understands the material, not logic? Like, not their logic or self-awareness, more like so this, in my opinion, is one of those things where there's a difference between a well-written exam to test something, that like to measure content, versus a well-written exam that measures critical thinking. Critical thinking would involve doing these things, like making things tricky. Like they could say, no, that's right. And then this could say, yes, That's wrong. Now the question is, the taxi was still parked in the same place. No, that's right. It would still be it would still look very similar, and you might say at first like, oh yeah, no, of course not, it's still not there. It's like, but that's right. No, it's wrong. Is yes, that's wrong, as in you're agreeing, yes, I agree, that's what this says, but that's wrong. It's not that crazy. Like, obviously I'm making a big deal of a shorter statement, but it can be more complicated than this. The responses can be far more complicated, and that's when you're testing critical thinking and not the content itself. Anyways, I just thought this was interesting. Sorry. Let's move along here.
これは大変だ。
Is that still the same tie-in? That's probably the same. So but dang it. I think I wrote hen, so tie hen, big butts. Yeah, tie hen da. Okay, big butts. All right.
ビクラム
You gonna go do Anki? Yeah. I'll see you. Yep. I'll see you later. Good luck with your Anki turn. Good talk today.
パスポートはタクシーの中にはないよ
Oh, I see. Spoilers. I'm gonna guess PD, what's her name again? PDT? PDT has the passport. My guess where this story is going is PTD, so Vikram ran after the taxi thinking they left the passport in the taxi, but then PDT ran after Vikram because she probably just discovered that she had the passport all along. And then she's saying, right, passporto wa taxi no nakani wa naiyo. And she's saying, oh, it's not in the taxi because she knows she has it. Probably. That's my guess. It would be a haha moment, I'd say.
あなたの左手を見て
Anata no hitari te o mite. Wait. Anata no hitari. Did you look? Hitari te. Look at your hand? No. What the heck? Oh, look left. Look at your left hand. Oh, look in your left hand. Oh, okay. Okay. That's yeah. Hitari e. Wow, that's tough. Reading kanji again. I mean, reading kana again. Yeah, hitari te o mite. So, hitari, right, hitari. Hitari, and then te. Mite. Right, mite. Gotta click on this. And then anata. So he was, so look at your hand. Oh, Vikram had Oh, the pep. Vikram already had the passport in his hand.
あ、あった。ありがとう、プリティ。
Where was the passport? In his hand! That pep. Alright, sorry. So, oh, okay. So that's how they do it. Doko. Taxi. Passporto. Oh, and they don't have the sound. They don't have audio too. Okay? And arigato. Oh. Oh, I really love this. Why don't they... Oh, man, they need to do more of this. Please. And is that it? You only get one? Aww. Aw, they need more of those. Feels bad, man. It's so short. It's so short. Oh wait. Gotta figure out if this is a super thing. It's not. What happens in this scene here? Or it doesn't load at all. Okay, so we can do both the lessons today. We can do both the lessons today. I guess we'll do it on the first day from now on. Oh, I guess this doesn't load. Or I could end today early. How long did I go for? 2.5 hours. We talked quite a bit about the why doesn't this load? All right. So you don't get a bonus as. I want to do the thing. What happens when you practice? Does it just go over the same thing?
パスポート。
Yeah, it goes over the same thing.
ビクラムと妻のプリティは空港にいます。
Okay. That's unfortunate. It's too short. That's too short. No, that's too short. All right. It was a lot of fun though. I like it. I hope they keep this up for each of the units past this point. So the story, we have 10 stories, right? Each unit has a story for the next 9. And then near the end, the last 3, 4, actually a lot. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there are 6 units still. I'm expecting to see stories in section 4 too, hopefully, I suppose. Now the question is, do I want to spend the next 30 minutes doing that? Nah, I think we're good. We'll take a extra day, you know, to secure the time. But what do I think about the story? I think it's quite short.
パスポート。
Let me
ビクラムと妻のプリティは空港にいます。
どうしよう。僕のパスポートはどこ？
Oh, and he actually said Doko. I
ここ
didn't
に
even
な
realize.
いんだ。
ビクラム、
カバンの中にもない。そしてジャケットにもない。
でもビク、
そうだ。パスポートはタクシーの中だ。
ビクラムはタクシーに向かって走ります。
ビクラム、違う。
プリティはビクラムに向かって走ります。
どうしよう。タクシーはもうここにいない。
Imagine carrying the passport in the left hand the entire time.
これは大変だ。
ビクラム、パスポートはタクシーの中にはないよ。あなたの左手を見て。
Oh, wait. This wasn't in it. Oh, so there is a little bit of like noise. So we didn't have this prompt.
あった。ありがとう、プリティ。
Or did I just spaced it? Did I just blank out and they chose a different one? I could have sworn they didn't use and. Oh, maybe they did. Just kidding. It's the same. Just kidding. Are these in the same order? No, they're not. Oh no, they do change. Jaquetto, demo. Yeah, demo. Kuko, kuko te and hashirimasu. So they do change, but it's not long enough. It's not long enough, and there aren't enough of them, and it's just one. I thought there might have been multiple. That's just one. Hang on, let me see if the
パス
prompts
ポ
in
ー
them.
トビクラムと妻の
So-
プリティは空港にいます
So you can't advance until they
ど
complete
う
this,
しよう、
right?
僕のパスポートはどこ、
Yeah, so those
ここにな
don't
い
seem
ん
like
だ
they change.
ビクラム、
カバンの中にもない。そしてジャケットにもない。
Right? I think the tones are really good too. Like what I mean is the way they talk in between is pretty good. I quite like it. You can kind of hear
でもビク、
yeah, it's like because I'm imagining these are still the synthetic voice, right? They do sound like still the synthetic voice, but it sounds like it's moving between the
そうだ。
discussions.
パスポートはタクシーの中だ。
Like it sounds nice.
ビクラムはタクシーに向かって走ります
And the narrator voice, right? Yeah, I don't think these prompts
ビ
change.
クラム、違う。
Except for the end.
プリティはビクラムに向かって走ります
どうしよう。タクシーはもうここにいない。
Oh, they've swapped the order. Okay, so these things do swap in
こ
order.
れは大変だ。
ビクラム、パスポートはタクシーの中にはないよ。あなたの左手を見て。
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
あ、
that's
あっ
unfortunate.
た。ありがとう、プリティ。
Okay. All right. Yeah, and then they go here. Night. There isn't, yeah, the conjugation of aru. Night, kuko. Passporto. Jaquetto. Taxi. Okay. All right. It's such a small thing. Does leave you hungry for more. Leave you desiring more. It does show you what they have to work with, though. All right, I think we'll stop our stuff special for today. So next time we'll probably do these two together, right? They're actually unrelated. So these things are completely unrelated, right? So we'll do these two together on day ones as actually we'll do them on day twos. Because day one I need to make time for day one I have to make time to create the flowchart, right? For the new vocabulary. So they'll be stuck on day two. So now day two, man, I hope they keep I hope they can do this more consistently, because day two then would be different from day one, and then day three are different from day 2 and 1 because of personalized practice. Wait, I didn't know you can do Duolingo on website. I just do it on the app and you can stream it. Nice. Yeah, Jamie. If you're already doing it, you might as well invite some people to hang out with you, you know? Share your love of language learning and whatnot. Yeah. It's very convenient. The sizing, you're gonna have to work on the sizing So, whatever setup you have, you're gonna have to work on sizing the window and all that. You can, and if you're running on a Windows OS, if you're running on Windows OS, it has a standalone one too. If you go to the Microsoft Store, the Xbox Store, they have like a standalone one as well. So you don't necessarily have to go and type into your Chrome browser or something. So that's an option too. Anything that is on Android most of the time has its own app in the Xbox Store or the Play Store. Yeah. So you don't actually have to even use Chrome browser or like that. Mind you, though, obviously all the other stuff still exists, ads and all that. So if you're already a premium, like if you're already a super subscriber, then that's irrelevant what I'm saying now. But in case to give you a heads up, you just started Nihongo. Nice. Is this your first time learning a language? Yeah. So I guess I'll preface there are ads, right? So be careful. Hopefully you understand and it doesn't disturb you too much. Like giving a heads up to people, ads can be a ads can be a negative response. So if you're not expecting ads, there are ads. However, here's one thing. The ads are less frequent on the web version. So that might factor in, right? That might factor into your thing. So if you're using the mobile app, I think the ads are a lot more frequent in the mobile app because the mobile app is where most of the revenue, or not revenue, but most of the users use mobile apps. This one, I would say far less frequent. So if that's a thing that might improve your experience, I wish things like this would reach the CEO and all that stuff, but you know, that's something to consider. You want to learn Japanese because you have Japanese cousins. Oh, well, aren't you chilling with your cousins? Learn, that's great. You have family members. So then in the future, like not too far in the future, you pick up a little bit of Japanese here and there from SRS and self-studying, and then the rest can be hanging out with your cousins and speaking with your cousins. That's great. I don't have any Japanese family members, but you already got arguably one of the best and rarest resources, which is a personal family member. Personal family members. I'm about to switch gears. So, speaking of cousins, this is a segue. I'm about to switch to Chinese now. I actually learned Japanese and Chinese, and my family happens to be Chinese. So, same difference. I have Chinese cousins and family. Oh, they're in Japan, so you can't talk. Oh, do they not use English at all? Also, you sound like diaspora. So I imagine then you're born and raised. Am I gonna be a little presumptuous here? I think I'm gonna presumptuous. Do you happen to be in the West, like maybe North America? Perhaps either Canadian or American? Second generation? I'm obviously guessing. You're Asian? Yeah, but what I mean is, are you living? Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, you're the second person I recently met. Who did I meet that was? Filipino, right? Are you talking about Filipino? I swear I just met a Filipino. We talked a lot. Oh no. Well, oh, so it's are your cousins the diaspora, as in your cousins are Filipino who live in Japan, or is it the other way around where your family is Japanese, but now they live in the Philippines, or how does that work? Like, which one is your principal language? Do you speak? Oh, we were talking about Malaysian. Do you speak a different language other than English? Is English your simultaneous language? Like you're multilingual from a young age? Japanese is quite fun. Okay, they're half Filipino and half Japanese, and you were born here in Philippines. I see. I am in the United States, so I am in ABC. So I'm a American-born Chinese. So my parents are the immigrants. So I can kind of sort of relate. I don't have any more relatives that are actually in China. So most of my immediate family now are in the United States. But yeah. I look forward to hearing do you plan on streaming it or something? I'm often curious. How are you gonna go about it? Starting with Duolingo, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna what are your immediate plans on fitting language learning into your schedule? Oh, you wanted to learn Chinese too? Give Japanese some time. I would love to hear what you end up deciding to do. I won't say much right now. However, maybe like when you think you'll try it on the web. Again, there are going to be a lot of resources. So, if I had anything worth sharing in this like limited time, is that there are a lot of tools for language learning out there. It's incredibly overwhelming at first. However, I think trying the most popular things and then focusing on getting an idea of what you need for language learning and self-study. Is this the first time you're self-studying a language? Getting an idea and then finding as many ways to engage with it, not just Duolingo kind of thing. Well, probably everything will be a-okay until you're ready to talk to your cousins, right? At least that's how I feel so far about it. It's been about 300 days or more since we started. Watching anime helps too. Yeah. So good luck. I look forward to hearing from how you go about it as you're going, right? So feel free, no pressure, but like 30 days, 60 days, making track. The reason why I'm saying this is if one encourages another person to focus on how they study and how they learn, like you're really invested in how you're learning and how you're studying while you're studying Chinese and Japanese and whatnot, it makes the process go a lot longer, right? You were searching to find I see. Yeah, I do this every day. So, or I try to do this almost every day. And 3 months or 6 months down the line, I would love to hear where you end up and what you end up doing. I would say most of the time people will be using 3 or 4 new tools, and they tend to have they tend to end up diversifying. So I love hearing what people end up doing, right? To give you an idea about Chinese for myself, after 100 days in Japanese, after 100 days in Japanese, I started Chinese. And for me, Chinese and Japanese is like they're linked together. They're very associated with each other. So learning both simultaneously is, if you have enough time for that, of course, or time permitted, it's actually quite an experience. It's quite a nice thing. Yeah, the kanji and Hanzi really complements each other. And in fact, Today I spent like an hour and a half to 2 hours talking with Chern, who happens to also learning Japanese, and Chern is a Chinese person who's in Malaysia, so a Chinese Malaysian, if you will, and we talk quite a lot about like the relationships between Chinese and Japanese. So maybe sometime far down the line. I think the conventional knowledge, some people, like the people who are more experienced than I am, typically agree that developing enough competence in one language, so once you learn like whatever your target language is, like Japanese, the fundamentals and stuff, it is often okay, or large majority of people say it's fine when you introduce a second language and you stagger them. So you use your target language to learn something, your first target language to learn something about your second target language, and then vice versa. So for me, that's become that's basically what happened. My Japanese, when I'm doing Chinese, I'm often thinking about Japanese. And then when I'm doing Japanese, I'm often thinking about Chinese, even if I'm speaking English right now. So, yeah, this is a tiny plug. Good luck with everything, okay? I just wanted to do a little spiel before I change gears, right? All right. And today we were evaluating this thing called a story thing feature that they have on a Japanese course, and this is the first time, so it's over 4,000 hours later. I think I spent more than 4,000 hours doing stuff related to Japanese before I got to this point, so take that with a grain of salt. The story was pretty neat. It was very short, and that was the task for today. Anyways, I hope you enjoy your learning languages as much as I do, and definitely consider interacting with people along the way. I think there are definitely a lot of people who are very serious, like super serious about their language learning, but then there are people who are serious but also welcoming, right? Finding Discord channels and whatnot, that's always an avenue to keep yourself motivated if your cousins aren't already motivating you to do so. All right, folks, that's a wrap let's wrap up our Japanese lesson today. I think the stories are great, if not very, very short. That's unfortunate. Maybe there'll be future updates on the New Year's. My fingers are crossed that they have a bigger update in January or February, because the last big update to both the Japanese and the Chinese happened in the beginning of the year, especially right after New Year's. So fingers crossed that the new features are coming to Japanese, and then maybe a few months down the road to Chinese, because I saw that the features got rolled out sort of staggered, like. And so for now, if you're gonna watch this later, arigatou gozaimasu, right? Until then, mata ne, ja ne. And I'm gonna get up, stretch, take a quick bathroom break, and I'll be back for my Chinese. Thank you.